boyfriend in self-defense.
What did you kill him with?
A loaded gun in the house.
Can you tell me where the gun is right now?
The gun is in the house.
Okay, are you sure that he is dead?
He's dead, ma'am. He's completely dead.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Shana Michelle Huber.
Today, we're delving into a tale that revolves around love, but not the usual kind. This isn't your typical love story where everyone is joyous. Instead, it's a narrative that unfolds into a different kind of affection, one that led Shana Hubers down a dark path. Greetings, Fearfiles enthusiasts! We're here to unravel and examine the most puzzling, chilling, and mind-twisting cases from around the globe. Before we dive in, our hearts go out to the families affected by the unsettling actions of Shana Hubers. Let's venture into Kentucky, known for its delectable fried chicken that has captivated taste buds globally. While the Colonel has the world hooked on his secret recipe, our focus shifts to Shana Hubers, a young woman whose obsessive tendencies reached extreme levels. She was not one to accept rejection lightly. If a guy turned her down, or if a relationship ended, Shana took it to heart, and she was determined not to let go. In interviews, a friend of Huber's revealed that she had a flair for the dramatic, especially in matters of the heart. She made it clear that if a relationship didn't work out, Shana struggled to cope. Rejection wasn't a part of her plan in any aspect of life. However, it's not all gloom and doom. Despite these intense traits, Shana had her positive side. In her academic journey, she shone as a straight-A student, tackling numerous AP courses. Her dedication earned her accolades for academic excellence and leadership. Shana, driven by an unyielding competitive spirit, aspired for success in all her endeavours. When faced with competition, instead of letting it derail her, Shana's ability to focus on her goals propelled her to triumph. So, buckle up as we navigate through the complexities of Shana Huber's story, where love took a perilous turn and obsession led to unforeseen consequences. Fast forward, Shana Hubers swiftly graduated with honours from the University of Kentucky in just 3 years. Her ambitious journey didn't stop there. She set her sights on a master's degree in school guidance counselling, showcasing the potential for a radiant future. However, her compulsive tendencies took a darker turn. The pivotal year was 2011 when Hubers received a Facebook message from Ryan Poston, a 28-year-old high achiever. Unlike Hubers, Poston didn't harbour the same level of obsession, yet his accomplishments were noteworthy. Born on December 30th, 1982 in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, he grew up as the eldest among 4 siblings, the only boy. Poston's educational journey was as diverse as his achievements. From international high school programs in Manila, Philippines, to graduating in Geneva, Switzerland, he eventually pursued political science, history, and geography at Indiana University. Inspired by his father's legal career, he followed suit, attending Northern Kentucky University's Salmon P. Chase College of Law. Close to his family, especially his father, Poston embraced the changes brought about by his parents' separation and his mother's remarriage to Peter Carter. This shift didn't create a father-son rivalry for Ryan. Instead, he welcomed his new stepfather, finding joy in having 2 positive male role models. So much so that he changed his middle name to Carter to symbolize the significance of both men in his life. The twist in the story unfolds on Facebook, where Huber's images caught the attention of Poston through his step-cousin Carissa Carlisle. Little did he know that this seemingly charming and sweet girl would become a tragic chapter in his life, a story ending in unforeseen and literal consequences. Their connection began with a message, leading to a face-to-face meeting on Shana Huber's 20th birthday, April 8, 2011, in a Lexington, Kentucky pub. According to friends of Ryan Poston, Hubers displayed an immediate obsession. She seemed distant and fixated solely on Ryan, channeling all her energy towards him. Such intense behaviour, as we know, can be unsettling, even overbearing. Ryan, feeling the need for personal space, tried to establish boundaries. However, Hubers, with no concept of personal space, seemed determined to anchor him down. Friends noted her attempts to make him settle down, but he, being a young attorney with a demanding job in Cincinnati, wasn't ready for that commitment. The strains in their relationship escalated due to differing goals. Poston, seeking independence, attempted to end things, but Hubers, fueled by passion and determination, refused to accept defeat. In a revealing text to a friend, Hubers claimed that Ryan stayed with her out of guilt. When he tried to break up, she manipulated him by crying, making him feel terrible, and ultimately taking him back. This on and off dynamic persisted for a year and a half, leaving Poston trapped in a cycle of misery. As Hubers grew more possessive, Poston, troubled by the situation, turned to his step-cousin Carissa Carlisle for help. In a text to Carlisle, he expressed the severity of the situation, stating, "This is bordering on restraining order territory." The romance had become a tumultuous journey, raising concerns that went beyond the boundaries of a healthy relationship. The situation took a darker turn as Shayna Hubers allegedly trespassed into Ryan's condo 3 times, refusing to leave each time. Hubers, during this period, claimed that Ryan was emotionally abusive. According to Nikki Carnes, Ryan's neighbour, Hubers, would confide in her about Poston's actions. She mentioned that he allegedly criticised Hubers' weight, suggesting she needed to lose weight and undergo a boob job. On the flip side, Ali Wagner, a friend of Poston for a decade, presented a contrasting view. She never heard him raise his voice and described him as geeky and kind. Wagner asserted that Ryan, raised with good manners, would never stoop to offending a woman, let alone his girlfriend. Poston, an enthusiast of firearms, would occasionally go to the shooting range, with Hubers joining him. However, a text Hubers sent to a friend on October 2, 2012, raised concerns. She expressed a desire to turn around and shoot him. Although intended as a joke, the seriousness of her emotions lingered. Despite Hubers' persistent presence, Ryan started talking to other girls in October 2012, even setting up a date with Audrey Bolt, Miss Ohio, USA 2012. Hubers, unaware of the date, found out about it through social media stalking. This discovery intensified her obsessive behaviour. After Hubers was detained, authorities discovered unsettling details on her phone. She would constantly text Poston, creating scenarios to manipulate him into spending time with her. The messages revealed Ryan's growing frustration with her behaviour, indicating that the relationship had become a source of distress for him. Poston, seeking moments of peace, would occasionally turn off his phone. However, Shayna Hubers found ways to manipulate him emotionally. Once, she concocted a fabricated story about her aunt being on her deathbed in Hawaii. Claiming urgency, she asked Ryan to drive her to the airport. Ryan agreed, only to find out later that the entire narrative was a complete fantasy, with no record of the supposed one-way ticket on October 12, 2012. A day before their planned date, Hubers texted Poston stating that she woke up in the middle of the night with chest troubles and had been hospitalized. She claimed to be on her way to a specialist, but it was all untrue. Instead, she was at home researching high blood pressure and heart disease on the internet, fabricating a story about having left ventricular hypertrophy. The tragic event unfolded at Ryan Poston's condo. An altercation occurred, leading to gunshots. Hubers made a chilling call to 911, claiming she killed her boyfriend in self-defense. The operator probed, asking if Ryan was still alive when she shot him, whose gun it was, and what drove her to such an extreme action. Hubers, insistent on self-defense, recounted a scenario where her boyfriend was attacking her, grabbing and throwing her against a couch. As the details unfolded, it became clear that the situation was more complex than initially presented. Hubers' actions and words painted a distressing picture, and the investigation into this tragic event continued. In her statement to the 911 operator, Shayna Hubers claimed that the gun belonged to Ryan, asserting that he kept loaded weapons in the house and had threatened her with it. She admitted to shooting him 15 minutes before making the call, leaving the operator surprised about the delay in alerting authorities. Police suspected that this delay was to allow Huber's time to craft her version of events before their arrival. During the call, Hubers revealed that she shot Ryan multiple times, explaining that he was struggling and in pain, and she decided to put him out of his misery to finish the job. Adding complexity to the narrative, she mentioned placing the gun on a bookshelf. As the conversation unfolded, Hubers, after providing her and the victims' names and details about their breakup before the shooting, sought assurance from the operator about potential arrest upon the officer's arrival. The operator couldn't predict the outcome but advised her to stay on the line. While waiting for the officers, Hubers continued speaking, claiming that she wasn't a murderer. To bolster her defense, she asserted that Ryan had been violent, kicking her out before she returned to retrieve her things. Strangely, she stated that she was fine when asked if she needed an ambulance, contradicting her earlier claims of violence. Her narrative of calmly trying to break up with Ryan contradicted the circumstances. Ryan had been attempting to end the relationship for some time, and this tragic incident occurred just hours before he was scheduled to go on a date with another woman, adding a layer of confusion to the already perplexing situation. Inconsistencies arose during the investigation, particularly regarding the motive and the sequence of events, raising questions about the true nature of the incident and Shayna Huber's actions that led to the tragic end of Ryan Poston's life. After her arrest, Shayna Hubers was taken to the police station for questioning. The interview began after she was read her Miranda rights, but remarkably, she willingly shared her version of events without prompting from the police. Interestingly, her initial concern wasn't about Ryan Poston. Instead, she expressed fear that no one would want to marry her after learning about her act of killing in self-defense. The conversation continued to revolve around her personal life, contemplating the potential consequences if she got away with murder. Hubers, amid the gravity of the situation, was already contemplating the toll it might take on her future, expressing doubt about ever getting married due to the stress. Hubers then proceeded to explain the events leading to the shooting. She portrayed Ryan as incredibly egotistical, accusing him of insulting her family and physically assaulting her by throwing her on the couch. Interestingly, her narrative about the positioning of Ryan at the time of the shooting seemed inconsistent between her 911 call and subsequent statements. Initially, she claimed he was right in front of her, reaching down to grab a gun, but later she described him as being at a table, suggesting a lack of coherence in her story. Throughout the interviews with different investigators, one consistent claim was that she shot him multiple times to end his pain. The motive appeared unclear, whether she was trying to convince the police or herself of this reasoning. During a questioning session with Lieutenant Fornash, Hubers began making noises as if attempting to cry or wail. However, as soon as Lieutenant Fornash left the room, she abruptly stopped, raising questions about the authenticity of her emotional display. Hubers's behavior and statements painted a complex picture, and her seemingly inconsistent narrative left investigators questioning the true motivations and circumstances surrounding the tragic events that unfolded at Ryan Poston's condo. Alone in the questioning room, Shayna Hubers engaged in erratic behavior, walking about and singing to herself. She maintained a constant stream of conversation, displaying curiosity about prison life, questioning whether people could bring their cell phones and the accessibility of showers. Her demeanor, seemingly detached, raised further questions about her mental state. Despite her pleas of self-defense, Hubers was accused of Ryan Poston's murder and pled not guilty. Contrary to her claims of a violent struggle, authorities found no signs of a struggle inside the condo. Hubers stated that Poston threw her into a bookcase, but a photograph of the bookshelf contradicted her account, showing everything in place with books upright and a pipe stable on a wooden stand. Hubers' narrative faced additional scrutiny when she alleged that Poston had locked himself in his bedroom during the incident, a contradiction to her claim of him attacking her. Phone records revealed her search for unlocking a door with a bobby pin, and evidence suggested that she successfully gained access to Poston's bedroom. Analysis of the weapon's evidence also contradicted Hubers's version. It indicated that she approached Poston when she shot him, a move inconsistent with someone acting in self-defense who typically would move away from an assailant. As the investigation progressed, Huber's changing accounts of the incident became more evident. Initially claiming Poston collapsed face down on a table, twitching, she later suggested he was charging at her. This inconsistency, coupled with the evidence, cast doubt on the credibility of her self-defense argument. Huber's attempt to portray Poston as an aggressor included allegations of inappropriate behaviour on their first date. She claimed he touched her thigh and engaged in rough intercourse. However, texts revealed a different story. On October 3, 2012, she texted Poston about beautiful corsets and suggested bedroom role play, to which he expressed disinterest. The downstairs neighbour's testimony, stating they heard the gunshot, added weight to the evidence against Hubers, challenging her self-defense narrative. The investigation into Ryan Poston's tragic death revealed a complex web of inconsistencies, raising questions about the true nature of the events that unfolded in his condo. The neighbours, arriving home around 8:30 p.m., reported hearing a woman weeping on Ryan Poston's porch. About 15 minutes later, they initially mistook 2 shots for firecrackers, but upon hearing 4 more in quick succession, they realised they were gunshots. Despite this, they claimed not to have heard any physical confrontations or fights, and they would have been able to hear such a disturbance if it had occurred. During the trial, Shayna Hubers did not testify in her defence. While expressing regret for her actions, she offered apologies to her family and friends, but notably omitted an apology to Ryan Poston's family. Found guilty of Ryan Poston's murder on April 23, 2015, after 5 hours of jury deliberation, Hubers received a 40-year prison sentence with the possibility of release after 20 years. In an attempt to mitigate her sentence, Hubers' defence sought to portray her as a victim of domestic violence. However, the judge rejected this argument, emphasising that recognition as a victim of domestic violence typically requires marriage to or full-time cohabitation with the victim. Hubers falsely claimed she lived with Poston, but evidence contradicted this. Hubers' initial conviction was overturned in August 2016 due to a juror's undisclosed criminal history. Her second trial began in August 2018, and during this time, she had met someone in county jail and planned to get married. Notably, she called the media immediately after submitting their marriage request to the jail. In an interview with WCPO's Craig McKee, Shayna Hubers discussed her newfound love and her feelings about the upcoming trial. While imprisoned at the county jail, she met a transsexual inmate, Richard McBee, who identified as a woman named Unique Taylor. Both incarcerated on robbery charges, they decided to get married and submitted a marriage request to the detention centre. Despite facing resistance, they married on June 7th, 2 months into Hubers' second trial. During her second trial, Hubers took the stand and testified in her defence. However, her story shifted once again. She now claimed that Ryan Poston was on top of her, holding her by the hair and yanking her head around. When confronted about her previous statement regarding Poston being at the table, Hubers pretended to be unaware, denying ever making such a statement. Ultimately, Shayna Hubers was found guilty at her second trial and sentenced to life in prison with the chance of parole after 20 years. 7 months after their marriage, she filed for divorce from Unique Taylor, citing irretrievable breakdown. Shayna Hubers is currently incarcerated in the Kentucky Correctional Institute for Women, serving time for the brutal murder she committed. This case illustrates the extremes to which love can drive a person, showcasing both its positive and destructive aspects. It serves as a reminder to carefully balance emotions to avoid potentially brutal consequences. When someone talks about a birthday party, you usually imagine a happy time with laughter, drinks, and of course cake. It's a joyful occasion, but sometimes things take a dark turn. In today's episode, we explore a tragic incident involving Tatiana Spitzner. Our journey takes us to Brazil, a country known for its fantastic football, or soccer as most of us call it, lively carnivals, delicious food, and overall positive vibes. However, like any place, Brazil has its dark side. While murder rates have been decreasing in Brazil, a new issue has arisen: femicide. This term refers to the killing of a woman due to domestic violence, and sadly, it's on the rise. A 2019 report from the Brazilian Public Security Forum highlighted this disturbing trend. Yet, this problem isn't unique to Brazil. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women worldwide has experienced violence from their partner. Most women manage to overcome such abuse, but Tatiana Spitzner wasn't as fortunate. Tatiana, a 29-year-old successful lawyer, lived in Guarapuava, a city with a population of 182,644 in the mid-south of the Parana state in Brazil. Despite its status as the largest municipality in the state by area, it couldn't shield Tatiana from a horrifying fate. It was supposed to be a fun night out for Tatiana and her friends, but as we'll discover, appearances can be deceiving. So, sit back, relax, and keep your ears open as we delve into the tragic case of Tatiana Spitzner. Tatiana Spitzner and her spouse, Luis Felipe Manvilla, had celebrated over 5 years of marriage. Luis, at 32, was a university biology lecturer and a staunch advocate for a healthy lifestyle, actively engaging in various physical activities that held significant importance for him. Their love story began in early 2013, when Luis Felipe, captivated by Tatiana, fell head over heels in love. He mustered the courage to ask her out in August of the same year. Over time, their connection deepened, and by November 15th, according to Luis Felipe's account, he proposed, and the couple swiftly moved from engagement to marriage. The engagement, brief but sweet, lasted a little over 2 weeks. On December 3rd, 2013, the couple exchanged vows and rings in Guarapuava, marking what should have been the happiest day of their lives. Luis Felipe made solemn promises to care for and provide for Tatiana throughout their lives. However, as life would have it, vows are sometimes tragically broken. Fast forward to Luis Felipe's birthday, a day meant for joy and positivity. Instead, tragedy struck. On what was supposed to be filled with laughter, the couple found themselves in the midst of a heated argument. The roots of the argument between Tatiana and Luis Felipe were planted when Tatiana arrived home a few minutes late. Luis, dressed up and eagerly awaiting their meeting with friends at a local restaurant, was visibly upset. Tatiana had been at a nail appointment, wanting to look her best for her husband, but the appointment took longer than expected. The usually cultured and educated public image of Luis Felipe crumbled in the face of this disagreement. His volatile character emerged as soon as Tatiana entered the door, and he started berating her for being late, insisting they should have already been at the restaurant. Publicly, Luis Felipe was seen as a refined individual, but he appeared somewhat distant compared to Tatiana, who had a wide circle of friends and a large family. The university professor, in contrast, was an enigma in Guarapuava, with little known about his past life. All that was known was that he had a brother and a sister. His father had passed away a couple of years before 2018, and his mother was battling cancer. Marcelo Virtuoso, a 35-year-old businessman and owner of the Uplay fitness gym in Guarapuava, shed some light on Luis Felipe's activities. According to Virtuoso, Luis Felipe would visit the gym, greet people, train, and then leave without engaging in conversations. Virtuoso noted, he wouldn't talk to anyone. Luis Felipe's passion for physical growth was evident, with Virtuoso stating, "From the beginning of the year until now, he's gotten really big." To add another layer to the unfolding story, the police discovered a substantial stash of anabolic steroids in the couple's apartment, raising further questions about the dynamics of their relationship. Many people speculate that Luis Felipe's outbursts of aggression and short temper might have been a side effect of the illegal supplements he was taking. Psychiatrist Adriano Segal from the endocrinology clinic at Hospital das Clínicas explained that the use of steroids can lead to psychiatric disorders, irritability, and also to transient testicular atrophy by increasing testosterone levels. This may have made it difficult for him to control his anger. However, this is in no way an excuse for the tragic events that unfolded. The couple eventually arrived at the restaurant where Tatiana's friends were eagerly waiting to celebrate Louis Philippe's birthday. Initially, the atmosphere seemed amicable as everyone wished him well. According to the perpetrator's statement, they both drank that night and got a bit tipsy. However, other reports suggest that another fight erupted when Tatiana allegedly found evidence of her husband interacting with another woman on Instagram. In his defense, Louis Philippe claimed that he had posted a story on his Instagram account about his birthday, receiving messages from online friends, including some from different women. Despite accusing his wife of jealousy, every story has two sides. Turning the spotlight to Tatiana, one of her close friends, Juliana Santos, aged 35, publicly revealed that Louis Philippe was the jealous one, even resorting to physical violence. Juliana stated, "Tati was very reserved with personal matters, but with me, she opened up. The first time she complained about Louis Philippe, she said that his jealousy bothered her." This information came to light after the tragedy occurred. At the time when Louis Philippe's jealousy intensified, Tatiana was living with him in Germany, where he was pursuing a graduate course. The reason behind his increasing possessiveness was unclear, but one thing was evident. Their relationship began to unravel due to the physical distance between Tatiana and Louis Philippe. Tatiana and her friends didn't communicate much during this period, leading to a noticeable drift. However, upon the couple's return to Guarapuava, they reconnected. Tati called me in November to congratulate me on my birthday, and she already wanted to meet me for coffee. At that point, the complaints became more incisive. She even talked about divorce because she was so scared, but the bureaucracy that comes with it made Tatiana dismiss the idea, revealed a friend to the police. On March 8th, International Women's Day, Tatiana and her friend Ju met at the gym and planned another coffee outing. Things were taking a serious turn. Julianne shared, "She opened up. She said that Luis Felipe was treating her very badly, demeaning her in front of others, doing everything to contradict her, and even said that he got to the point of hating her." Everyone interviewed in Guarapuava, even those not particularly close to Tatiana, described her as a person without any evil inside of her, someone who trusted others and saw the good in everything. She was known for her cheerful demeanor, love for parties, trips and friends. Those closest to her were certain that what happened wasn't a case of suicide. Now, what exactly transpired between Tatiana and Louis Philippe? To unravel the mystery, let's delve deeper into the case. Following the party that turned into an argument, the couple headed towards the Golden Gate building in downtown Guarapuava, where they shared an apartment. Security cameras in the city centre captured a detailed account of the incident. It all began with a vehicle pulling up outside the Golden Gate building. Numerous images captured the brutality of Louis Philippe, the university professor, as he repeatedly slapped his wife across the face, even before they could exit the vehicle. Despite Tatiana's desperate attempts to fight back, the sheer strength of her husband, fueled by his aggression, proved overpowering for the 29-year-old lawyer. But the horror didn't end there. Louis Philippe continued his torment even after they got out of the car. The sickening display of violence persisted in the underground parking lot of their building. Relentlessly, the brute battered Tatiana without remorse, thwarting her every effort to defend herself. Attempting to escape through the parking lot, Tatiana ran, but her husband chased her down, relentlessly hitting her again and again. Despite her desperate efforts, Tatiana managed to reach the elevator, CCTV images capturing her running for her life. Yet, her husband pursued her, and she frantically pushed the button, hoping the doors would close and provide. Her husband laid hands on her, pulling the young lawyer back inside, denying her any chance of escape. The shocking images vividly depict Tatiana's desperate attempts to keep herself out of harm's way. Despite her struggle, the strength of the steroid-using Louis-Philippe proved insurmountable. He swung her across the metal walls, hitting her head and causing her to fall to the floor. Those were the last moments captured when Tatiana was still breathing. After the horrifying episode in the elevator, the couple reached their apartment, and the exact details of what transpired inside remain unclear. However, the outcome was undeniably tragic, with approximately 15 minutes passing since they left the elevator. The brutality behind closed doors during this time can only be imagined. Additional CCTV footage from cameras outside the building, right in front of the entrance, reveals a body dropping onto the pavement on the sidewalk. The images are so brutal that they have been appropriately blurred. Yet, the most shocking part was yet to unfold. Fearing the consequences of his actions and unsure of what to do next, Louis-Philippe leaves his apartment. He descends, exits the building, and then retrieves the lifeless body from the sidewalk, carrying it back inside, hoping no one witnessed the gruesome scene. Next, the murderer is seen taking Tatiana's body into the elevator, placing her on the floor, and then raising his hands in a gesture that seems to express remorse and shock. However, these actions were undoubtedly performed for the cameras. As he arrives at his floor, Louis-Philippe removes the body from the elevator before returning with a rag to wipe what appears to be blood from the walls and the floor. These scenes become even more shocking when considering the ease with which he cleans his tracks. After these horrifying actions, the aggressor attempts to escape by returning downstairs to retrieve his car. Louis-Philippe drove away from the scene of the gruesome incident, but his escape was short-lived. Several residents promptly called the police to report seeing a man picking up a victim's body from the pavement. One witness even recounted hearing the husband shouting, "My love, wake up!" The murderer covered a considerable distance, driving approximately 185 miles or 300 kilometers from his apartment complex. However, he was swiftly located because he had crashed his car on the motorway. When questioned about why he fled, Louis-Philippe claimed that he was too disturbed by the images of his wife jumping off the balcony. However, the available evidence contradicted this narrative. According to the report, there was no evidence of any chemical reaction occurring in Tatiana's body before her fall. No traces of adrenaline or cortisol were found, which would typically indicate fear or awareness of plummeting to the ground. Experts concluded that the young woman was already dead when she hit the pavement. Additionally, Tatiana had a high alcohol content in her blood, a reasonable outcome given that they had just come home from a birthday celebration. The lawyer also suffered multiple fractures consistent with a 40-foot fall onto concrete pavement. Upon closer examination, investigators discovered the imprint of a pair of hands on her throat, and her hyoid bone at the front of her neck was fractured. These injuries are commonly associated with strangulation, supporting the theory that Tatiana was already dead before falling on the pavement. Criminal prosecutor Diana Rampasso delivered a chilling statement stating, "Our investigation proves that the victim was killed inside the apartment by asphyxiation and her body was thrown over the balcony. We believe the accused then took the elevator to the ground floor and collected Tatiana's body, taking it back up to the apartment in the elevator." This harrowing account of the events leading to the lawyer's murder paints a vivid picture of the spousal violence she endured. Close friends of Tatiana alleged that she disclosed her fear of her husband, accusing him of mistreatment and expressing a desire for a divorce. These claims were evident in a series of messages sent months before her death. In contrast, the husband's defense counsel maintained that the pair had a happy relationship, a claim starkly contradicted by the evidence. Far from a happy relationship, other sources among Tatiana's friends revealed, Tati complained to me one day that she and Luis Felipe. WhatsApp conversations between the two friends provided a clear picture of the relationship Tatiana was in. One friend shared, "We started talking a lot. She told me everything. She said that Luis Felipe didn't look for her in bed. She tried to get closer, but he pushed her away and said he was disgusted by her. This doesn't seem like a healthy relationship to us by any means." As the investigation progressed, further facts about Tatiana's mistreatment came to light. Witnesses reported that the victim's husband used humiliating nicknames for her, such as albino dung, referencing her skin color. Additionally, he would reportedly destroy Tatiana's clothing if he didn't like it, adding another layer of cruelty to the mistreatment she endured. Tatiana Spitzner, Louis Philippe Manvilla, practiced various forms of violence against her. He exerted control over her choices, requiring his approval for her to wear anything new. Louis Philippe refused to assist with any housework or even carry groceries. When Tatiana suggested hiring someone to clean the house regularly, he rejected the idea, insisting that she be responsible for it. Additionally, Tatiana was deprived of using her own hard-earned money as a lawyer. Any purchase, especially clothing, had to be approved by Louis Philippe. If she bought something without his knowledge, he would promptly tear it and discard it. Following the events in July 2018, Louis Philippe Manvilla was sentenced to 30 years in prison for the murder of Tatiana Spitzner, a crime many would classify as femicide. In addition to the initial sentence, he was convicted of procedural fraud, adding 1 year, 9 months, and 18 days to his sentence. He has been incarcerated in the industrial penitentiary of Guarapuava since then. The trial, lasting 7 days, resulted in a conviction by a jury composed entirely of men. During the proceedings, Louis Philippe apologized to the victim's family for the assaults, but continued to deny the murder. He asserted that his wife jumped from the balcony, committing suicide, despite all evidence pointing in the opposite direction. The defense attorney, Claudio Dalladone, argued that Louis Philippe's actions were a result of steroid use, emphasizing the potential impact on his mental state. Nonetheless, the overwhelming evidence and the jury's decision stood against him. Louis Philippe Manvilla expressed dissatisfaction with the jury's decision, claiming it was clearly contrary to the evidence of the case. He announced the intention to appeal and seek the annulment of the jury, but this did not come to fruition. Gustavo Scandolari, the lawyer representing Tatiana Spitzner's family, considered the verdict a milestone in the fight against femicide. He emphasized, "The sentence of conviction is a satisfaction to the family. It is a clear message from the Guarapuavan society and all Brazilian citizens against gender violence and all forms of domestic violence." Scandolari pointed out that the jurors understood the case's evidence and the judiciary had delivered a proportional and fair penalty. He anticipated that this judgment would serve as motivation for more actions, encouraging people to report cases of violence against women. Following the trial and Tatiana's tragic death, her sister, Luana Spitzner, created an Instagram page called Todos por Tatiana, meaning Everyone for Tatiana. The page aimed to raise awareness about femicide, a growing phenomenon in Brazil and worldwide. Luana's page garnered over 60,000 followers dedicated to ending violence against women. In honor of Tatiana, it's crucial to shed light on the severity of the situation. Here are some facts and advice to address and combat femicide, a cause worth spreading awareness for. Most violence against women is perpetrated by current or former husbands or intimate partners. Shockingly, over 640 million women aged 15 and older have experienced intimate partner violence. Among women aged 15 and older who have been in a relationship, Almost 1 in 4 adolescent girls aged 15 to 19, accounting for 24%, have faced physical and/or sexual violence from an intimate partner or husband. Additionally, 16% of young women aged 15 to 24 have experienced violence in the past 12 months. In 2018, an estimated 1 in 7 women had encountered physical and/or sexual violence from an intimate partner or husband in the last 12 months, with 13% of these women aged 15 to 49. These figures do not even account for the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has heightened risk factors for violence against women. Tragically, 130 women are killed by a member of their family every day. In 2017, an estimated 87,000 women were intentionally killed globally, with over half, 50,000 of them, being killed by intimate partners or family members. Furthermore, more than a third, 30,000, of these intentionally killed women were victims of current or former intimate partners. Tatiana confided in her friends about the mistreatment she endured from her husband, but her cries for help went unanswered. Despite the care and concern of those around her, Tatiana's plea for intervention was ignored. If her friends had taken a stand against Louis Philippe and sought help from the appropriate authorities, perhaps Tatiana would still be alive today. It's crucial to recognize that Tatiana did everything in her power to escape the violence, yet it wasn't enough. She needed support, just like many other women around the world facing similar situations. Don't hesitate to ask questions and speak up. Tatiana's story serves as a reminder that raising awareness and supporting those in need is essential. If you or someone you know has been through a similar situation, don't hesitate to share your experience. Let's spread awareness and create a supportive community. In this challenging world, it's vital to spread positive messages and help those in need. As the video concludes, the message encourages viewers to comment, share experiences, and express interest in other cases. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, click that notification bell so you can get updated each time we post another case.